Have you ever witnessed an act of compassion so profound it transcends everything you thought you knew about nature? On the vast green plains of the Masai Mara, a tranquil afternoon blanketed the landscape. Golden sunlight stretched endlessly, dotted with sparse acacia trees where a pride of lions rested in a peaceful midday slumber. A gentle breeze swept through, carrying the scent of fresh grass and an almost boundless serenity, lulling all creatures into a soft, quiet repose. Among the pride, a lion cub with a golden coat and eyes sparkling with curiosity suddenly stirred. Its gaze was captivated by a delicate, iridescent blue butterfly fluttering before its tiny nose. Enchanted by the butterfly's dance, the cub stealthily followed. Each small step led it further from its mother's embrace, further from the pride's protective circle, oblivious to the lurking danger. The butterfly led the way, drawing the cub to an ancient acacia tree where sunlight filtered through the leaves, creating dancing patterns of light on the ground. A magical and inviting scene. But in that very spot, beauty concealed immense peril. From beneath the thick grass, a massive African rock python, its body as thick as a fallen log, lunged out unexpectedly. It struck swiftly, coiling tightly around the cub's small body in a deadly embrace. The cub let out a piercing shriek, a tiny, desperate cry for help echoing across the vast savanna, tearing apart the afternoon's peace. It was the call of life and death, a sound that made the entire wilderness hold its breath. What happens when the fiercest protector faces an impossible fight, alone against the odds? The cub's agonizing cry shattered the lioness's slumber. She sprang to her feet, her eyes blazing with fury and ultimate terror. A furious roar erupted, tearing through the air like a vow to protect her cub until her last breath. Without hesitation, she surged through the tall grass, her body a blur, heading towards the source of the desperate call. And there, beneath the acacia tree, the horrific sight met her eyes. Her cub was being strangled by the enormous python, its dreadful coils tightening with every passing second. The lioness growled ferociously, a sound that vibrated through the ground, then furiously attacked. She clawed and bit at the snake's rigid body, her claws tearing at its tough scales, her fangs gnashing against its cold skin. But the strength of a lone mother, no matter how fierce, could not break those horrific constricting coils. Helplessness tormented her, each passing second a dagger piercing her maternal heart. She roared, her cries not a menace, but of excruciating, helpless pain against her cub's cruel fate. Nearby, in a sparse patch of forest, a mature male gorilla was silently foraging for fruit. He was a creature of stillness and observation. The chaotic sounds and roars reached him, making him lift his head, curious and wary. With the instinct of a wild animal, he approached cautiously, hiding behind a large rock, his body concealed in the shadows. His eyes landed on the strange scene, making him halt. A desperate lioness was roaring at the base of the acacia, where the python was crushing her tiny cub. The gorilla, a creature that normally lived in its own world, now found itself an unwilling witness to the tragedy of another species. He stood there motionless, his gaze intently following every movement, every agonizing breath of the lioness. Could a single glance, a silent plea, bridge the immense gap between species? The lioness, in her utter despair, turned her head towards the gorilla. There was no menacing roar, no intimidation from the queen of the savannah, only a pair of wet, weak, and desperate eyes, a pleading gaze, an unspoken understanding that all her hope had dwindled. And now, only a miracle could save her tiny cub. In that moment, between the eyes of the lioness and the gorilla, an invisible thread was spun, a connection that transcended all harsh survival instincts. The gorilla stood still for a long moment. In his deep-set eyes, an inner struggle played out. Instinct told him to avoid danger, to leave this place rife with violence. But the pleading gaze of the lioness, The profound pain evident in her every gesture touched something deep within him. Could a creature of the jungle comprehend the agony of a predator? Could there be a type of compassion that crosses species boundaries? Finally, he turned and walked away. Not to abandon, but to find a last hope, a hope he wasn't sure existed. He moved quickly towards the lower forest, where a young female ranger was on patrol. Her name was Sarah, and she was checking the area with binoculars and a walkie-talkie in hand. When she saw the gorilla, she was surprised. It didn't shy away as usual, nor did it fear humans as instinct dictated. It approached closely, then turned its head as if to lead the way, its eyes glinting with urgency. Sarah, accustomed to the wariness of wild animals, felt bewildered. The gorilla's actions were strange, almost unbelievable. Despite a hint of skepticism, with the instinct of a wildlife conservationist, she decided to follow, a strong hunch telling her that something was wrong. The gorilla led the way through tall grass across impala trails and finally stopped when they reached the acacia tree. The scene before Sarah made her halt. A lion cub being strangled by a python. A lioness trembling in helplessness, her weak roars echoing in the heavy air, and the gorilla itself standing beside her, acting as a mediator between two worlds, between the wild and human intervention. It was a surreal moment, a vivid picture of life's fragility and a miracle of compassion. In the face of nature's harsh realities, can human skill and compassion make the ultimate difference? Sarah didn't hesitate. She drew her sharp bush knife and a can of repellent spray, her gaze fixed on the urgent situation. With the skilled wilderness rescue techniques she had been trained in and accumulated over years, she quickly assessed the situation. The python was too large and its coils too tight. She knew she had to act quickly and precisely. With incredible calm, she approached. She used a long stick to distract the python, lightly poking its head. When the python slightly loosened its grip to react, Sarah seized the opportunity. She used her knife to cut into the most dangerous coils, carefully avoiding the cub's tiny body. The rescue unfolded with tension and urgency. Every moment a battle of wits with the giant snake's instincts. Sweat beaded on Sarah's forehead, but her hands remained steady, each cut precise and decisive. The lioness growled but did not lunge, seemingly understanding that this human was trying to help. Finally, the coils were released. The python writhed for a moment and then slowly loosened its grip. Released, the cub tumbled to the ground, panting, but alive. The python, seemingly realizing its defeat and this unexpected intervention, slowly loosened its final coils completely. Its massive body, once coiled in intimidating power, now slowly slithered away from the base of the acacia tree. Without looking back, it quietly wound its way into the tall, eye-level grass, its colossal form gradually vanishing amidst the dense savanna vegetation, leaving behind only a tense silence. The lioness immediately approached, gently licking her cub's wounds. Her eyes no longer fierce, but quietly filled with immense gratitude, a profound appreciation that transcended all species barriers. She looked at Sarah, that gaze unspoken, but containing all the emotions of a mother reunited with her beloved child. What lasting message can be found in a moment where different worlds collide in an act of pure compassion? The gorilla said nothing. It quietly retreated, its gaze following the cub for a moment as if to ensure its safety. Then it turned and disappeared into the dense foliage, returning to its own world, leaving behind an unspoken story of courage and extraordinary connection. Park Ranger. Sarah stood there, her hands still trembling slightly, but her eyes followed all three creatures, each with its own instinct, its own world, but today intertwined in a moment of profound humanity. She looked at the cub, safe in its mother's embrace, at the lioness with a rare sense of peace, and towards the forest where the gorilla had vanished. A deep sense of calm and gratitude welled up within her. Beneath that acacia tree, amidst the wild plains, nature had told a miraculous story, not just of harsh survival, but of interspecies compassion, of a silent connection more powerful than anything. It was a testament that kindness and courage can emerge from the most unexpected places, and that even in the wildest parts of the world, there exist moments of love and understanding. This story reminds us that no matter where we come from or what species we belong to, the thread of compassion always exists, ready to bind all living things in a sacred moment of life. If this story moved you, imagine the countless others waiting to be told. Subscribe to our channel for more incredible tales of connection and resilience in the wild.